स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदा स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमि स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. Please join in reciting the prayer. Otherwise, only my voice seems to be coming. You all add your voice. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all, thou art the self of all. Existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful, may the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So, bless you, bless you, bless you. So, today is a special day when we are observing the birth anniversary of Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. And since morning at about 11 o'clock, we started the celebration with formal worship, flower offerings, and music, prasad. And then we had a very nice video explaining her life and special features of her teaching. And now we have a symposium, a very important part of these birthday celebrations. If you read Swami Vivekananda's letters about how the celebration that was actually at that time only Sri Ramakrishna, but it applies to all such celebrations, how he wanted them to be. That yes, worship, ritual worship, and distributing the offered food, what we call in India prasad, that should be one part of it. Singing, the devotional music pertaining to that, that should be another part. And there has to be a part where a more important thing is done. And that is to deliberate on the salient features of the life and teachings of those great people whose this birthday is being celebrated. So this is the part that is beginning here now, that we will have now two very gifted speakers, and more importantly, those who have studied the life of Holy Mother, not from the point of view of an academic, but from the point of view of a spiritual aspirant. And they will be giving us their thoughts, their ideas, their perceptions about Holy Mother. And both of them this time happen to be ladies who are involved in teaching. So, one of them is Gloria Maite Hernandez, who has spoken here a few times before also. And another lady who is also a teacher, she has not spoken here before. Did you? Okay, I am sorry. Okay. So it is, I keep on forgetting things, you say. But she has also spoken here. And she is very good singer also. So we shall begin. Let both of these today's speakers, I request them to come here forward and take their seats. And in the beginning we will have, please you come, this song by Rashmi Joshi. So she will begin with this song.
Hello.
जय जय जननी जय श्री शारदामणि जय जय जननी जय श्री शारदामणि करुणारूपिणी जय मां आद्याशक्ति परमा प्रकृति आद्याशक्ति परमा प्रकृति अशरण गति तुमी मां अशरण गति तुमी मां जय जगतारिणी भवभयहारिणी जय जगतारिणी भवभयहारिणी दुर्गति निवारिणी मां सिद्धिप्रदायिनी मुक्तिविधायिनी सिद्धिप्रदायिनी मुक्तिविधायिनी जीवगतिदायिनी मां जीवगतिदायिनी मां निखिल जगत माता जीव कल्याण रता निखिल जगत माता जीव कल्याण रता लज्जा पटावृता मां दुर्जन सज्जन संतान अगणन दुर्जन सज्जन संतान अगणन पालनकारिणी मां पालनकारिणी मां जय शारदेश्वरी सीता राधा माता मेरी जय शारदेश्वरी सीता राधा माता मेरी यशोधरा विष्णु प्रिया मां युगदेव वन्दिता सुरनर सेविता युगदेव वन्दिता सुरनर सेविता नमो नारायणी मां नमो नारायणी मा जय जय जननी जय श्री शारदामणि जय जय जननी जय श्री शारदामणि करुणारूपिणी जय मा करुणारूपिणी जय मा
You want to start? How the light goes on?
Just push the button.
Where is the button? Oh, okay. Thank you. Good evening. Many years ago, when I started coming here to the center, there was a nun from the monastery in California. I don't remember her name, but I remember she said that the first day that she went, that she became a nun and she went in the monastery, in the convent, she looked at the picture of Sarada Devi and she got very scared. She said, I was never scared of Ramakrishna, but I looked at her and I was very, very scared. And I remember at that time thinking I couldn't understand that fear because she was a woman, she was a nun, and I would rather think that, you mind taking no pictures, please? She was a woman, she was a nun, and I thought, well, she might identify with the Holy Mother. Why would she feel so overwhelmed? But then, a few years after that, I went to India for the first time, and I went to the Sharada Math in Pune, to the Sarada Devi Monastery in Pune. I'm trying to go back and forward for the non-Indians who can follow me. And there I saw the image of Sarada Devi that we have here alone, without Ramakrishna. It was only her, it is still today, only her in the middle of the altar, and that was very scary. And I remember thinking, wow, up to now, I have seen Ramakrishna by himself, and I have seen Ramakrishna together with Sarada Devi, but I had never seen her alone. And in a way, seeing her alone is harder to digest. It's difficult to understand from the emotional perspective, but also for us Westerners, more than from Indians probably, it is very hard to imagine the female, the divine female, without the male counterpart. And well, even in Hinduism also we have Sita and Rama and Shiva and Parvati and so on. But sometimes you find these divine images of female by themselves. And then I was thinking, why so? And I kept thinking, we always think, or we always take for granted that the men perspective is the normal perspective. And we assume that when we start talking about men, female, divine male, then someone will come up and say, no, divinity is beyond gender, beyond female, beyond male. But usually those are men who say that. And what that means is divinity is what we men have decided divinity is. And we say it's beyond gender, because to really think of divinity in the female form is very, very hard. Even for a woman, even for me, it's very, very hard to think that someone that Sarada Devi, that was a rural woman, didn't know how to read and to write, and lived a very, very strenuous life, was really, really Mother Kali. And I always think of that. If we think that she is really, really divine, and we worship her here this morning, and if we think that she really, really is Mother Kali, then what she can teach us about divinity, about the divine, that is not exclusively in male terms. And I know that she always say, you should think of me as Thakur. In the passage that Vishwanatha was reading this morning, she said, I am the same as him. But Thakur worshipped her. Thakur took the position of the worshipper and sat her in the seat of Kali and worshipped her. What was Thakur telling us in doing that? So if just for teasing our minds and our hearts a little bit, I want to ask this question this evening. I want to think what Sarada Devi, what Holy Mother has to teach us about the divine that is not as accessible through Ramakrishna or through any other male form of the divine. And again, this gender separation is just for the sake of thinking a bit, because we cannot think of female characteristics of the divine because Thakur had female characteristics of the divine. We can call traditional female. He was very caring, he was very tender, and so on. And Mother also had male characteristics of the divine. I'm not talking about female or male qualities, I'm talking about the divine embodied in the body of a woman. And what does that mean to us? What does that teach us about divine nature? And thinking of that, when I read and went over a couple of times the biography of Holy Mother written by Swami Gampirananda by advice of Swamiji. And I decided to speak of a few aspects of the divine that a Holy Mother teaches us. And she, again, this could look like female aspects, but she doesn't do it in an affected, or she doesn't do it in the way that we traditionally think about female. She does it because this is how she is. This is how she assumes her divinity, at the same time that she balances out her divine self with her human existence, with her embodiment as a human being. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of passages that really struck me when I was reading the biography again. And I've divided and I've organized this in 4 main qualities, or 5 main qualities. One is the love that she has. She says, and she says this to the monks of the Ramakrishna Math at the beginning. She says many times, we can do all this business, we can do all these rituals, we can write all these books, but if there is no love, we are nothing. Love is our strength. And if someone leaves the order, it's because there wasn't enough love. Imagine putting that in the monk's responsibility. If there is no love, you're not gonna get nothing from people. And this is not a sweetie talk about love. This is a very serious talk about love, right? The second aspect that I want to discuss is her vulnerability. And we find her all the time going back and forth between her divine, as I said, her divine being, her divine experience, and her human being. And she makes herself vulnerable, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The third aspect is how she refers to her body, to her embodiment, and to the body of others, and how she uses the senses and the body to transmit love. And then I'm going to speak with that about her awareness of others' divinity, and I'm going to conclude talking about how she conceived of her love as an all-inclusive love that was way beyond her time and way beyond caste and nationality and geography and so on. And it's quite useful for us in this time of our history in the 21st century. Now, I want to share with you, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be going back and forth in this book, and I didn't want to make copies because the book is a bit old, so I'm sorry for the passing of the pages. And I might speak of some passages that you may be familiar with, so my apologies for that. I want to share with you first her encounter with Nag Mahashaya. Nag Mahashaya was this devotee who was a bit crazy. He was a bit out of his mind. And this was at a time when the male devotees cannot see the mother directly. So they would just go by the small room where this is after Thakur's death. They could not see her in person. And she would just pass by the house where she lived in Kolkata and bang the entrance of the house, the threshold, with their forehead. And then someone comes and tells her, hey, there is someone outside banging the forehead so hard that he's hurting himself, he's bleeding. He's banging his forehead against the threshold so hard that he's bleeding. And then, but she was not supposed to see him. She was not supposed to receive him. And they tried to stop her from being bothered by this crazy dude. And then, because he kept banging and saying, mother, mother. But then she said, let him alone. Let him come. And she calls him to him. And let him come down a little. And the narrator goes, the mother patted his head and body. And here we have that sense of the love given with the body that she had, with the tools that she had to give affection, to give love. She patted his head and body and uttered in his ears the name of the master for some time. And then only he came round. The mother now resumed her meal and went on feeding him like a child. And this is feeding him with her hands, like traditionally Indian moms would feed the babies with the hand. So imagine all the boundaries that she's trespassing in this act of love. Not only she allowed him to see her, she was having her meal, and she touched him, and then she fed him from his plate with her hands. And then when he was being let down after the meal, he kept on telling the mother, not I, but you. The mother drew the attention of those present there to this and remarked, look what perfect wisdom. Overpowered with the joy of receiving food from the mother's own hand, Nag Mahashaya said further, mother is kinder than father. And he was talking about Ramakrishna. Mother is kinder than father. Then another passage that I wanted to share with you about her vulnerability, the second aspect, is all the times that she cries. You know, when we read her life, we find her crying many, many times. She cries when the monks die. She cries when her relatives die. And she cries a lot. She wails. She really, really gets very depressed and sad when someone dies. And one of these times was when Yogen, one of her direct attendants, died. And he was going to die. He was sick, and she was extremely concerned. And she would ask the other monk that was next to her, "What is going to happen to him? What will happen to my son Yogen?" And then finally he dies, and then she says, "My Yogen has left me. Who will now look after me?" So this is talking to us about a very, very intimate sense of love. She's saying, my son that took care of me so well has left me. Who will take care of me? This is how any mom would say, my son is died. Who will take care of me? And she cries and cries for the death of his son. And other sons too, another mom. So throughout her biography, we find her crying. And then there is one point that someone asked her, why do you cry? If you are God, if you are really Kali, if you are divine, then you should have consciousness that we are not this body and that he's going to come back and that there is no crying to do. But then why do you cry? And this caught my attention very much, how her answer is recorded. She says, I am in the world. and have to taste the fruit of this tree. That is why I cry. So it is so beautiful because she is assuming this absolute human existence, and she's saying, I have to be 100% woman in the same way that she might be 100% divine. And my son is dead, and I live in the world. So I have to taste the world. I have to taste the fruit of this tree, right? And one thing of how she exposes herself to this vulnerability, to this sadness all the time in her life, and to carry on the sadness of others. And I didn't select a passage of this specifically, but we find that also very present in her relationship with Radu, her second niece, that kicks her and mistreats her and yells at her, and at the end curses her 3 months before she actually died. And she kept saying something similar, I have to taste the fruit of this tree. She says, Radu is what really keeps me going in this body, my love for Radu, my attachment. I played this attachment for Radu so that I can keep doing my mission in the world. And this is, divine beings are very contradictory sometimes and are very hard to understand. And I was reading her biography and I was thinking of her contradictions are sometimes close to the contradictions that we see in Krishna's life. This being in between extreme person and extreme divine. No? Now, I'm going to talk a bit about her sense of her own body. When she was, there was a story about a brahmachari called Raj Bihari, who had lost his mother when he was very young. And so he didn't have a sense of attachment to a mother. He didn't have a sense of being so close to a woman, and he was quite shy and quite respectful of her, and he wanted to keep away from a distance from her all the time. So once he goes to see Sarada Devi, and she tells him, he sits over there, he bows, does pranam at the entrance of the room. He wouldn't even come inside the room. And she tells him, no, come a little closer. And then he comes like 2 steps closer. And she keeps teasing him, knowing that it was very hard for him. And he keeps, no, a little closer. Until she tells him, what's that? She calls him and says, what are you doing? And then the recording says, she tells him, come and feel my body and see how I am. And this struck me so much. She's telling him, come and touch me. Come and feel what a mother's body feels, and see how I am when you feel my body. And this, there is a 1 second time when she asked a monk to feel her body, and that was to Swami Saradananda when she was dying. After the death of Yogen, he became her attendant, and he lived with her until the end. She trusted him like nobody else. And when she is in her deathbed, she didn't want to eat. And then the women that lived with her called him to pretty much to try to have him convince her of eating. And then she tells him, could you please pass your hand through my body? Could you please feel my body? And then she asked him to feed her with his hand, in the same way that she had done to so many other people. So here we see this sense of an assumed embodiment. This is the body where I'm living, and in this body, I'm expressing love, and I'm letting others love me. I am teaching love through this body, through the senses, through the touch, through the hand, through the smell. And I found this so tender and so strong, so difficult to really understand. Imagine that you really think that Mother, Holy Mother is Kali, and that she tells you, come and feel my body and feed me. And in the same time that she was all the time balancing this act of being human and being divine in her own person, she does the same with others, with the divinity of others. because she saw, there is a part in the biography that says, after the death of Ramakrishna, she saw divinity even in an ant. Every being was divine for her. And then there is this one passage that caught my attention very much when one monk asked her, how do you look upon us, meaning upon the monks of the order? And she says, as Narayana, as Vishnu. And then he tells her, well, we are your sons. If you think that we are Narayana, then if you think that we are God, then how can we be your sons? He was trying to catch her, right? He was trying to get her indirectly to admit, well, you are Narayana because I am Kali. And then she says, no, you are both. You are Narayana and you are my sons. And then there is another passage that I might get some scolding from Swamiji for bringing this up, but I didn't want to spare you from it, which is, I can't believe I lost it. This is Swamiji's fault. Okay, I don't find it, but I'm going to tell you what it's about. It's her love for cats. So we all know this is one story when Ramakrishna tells someone, what are you doing with this, taking care of cats? That's a nonsense. But Holy Mother actually had cats, had a whole family of cats in her house, in Jarampati.
Naomi to come and sit.
Yeah.
Naomi loves cats a lot, you know.
Yeah? Where is Naomi?
Where is Naomi?
Well, I can give her the passage later. And she has this family of cats, and she was very, very concerned. I mean, in India, we find cats everywhere, and the cats come and go and eat in every house. And she was so concerned because the cats reproduce very quickly. And she said, no, we have to take care of the whole family, because if they go to bother the neighbors are going to mistreat them. They're going to kick them and beat them and throw in the street. Make sure that the cats don't go anywhere and they get milk enough and fish. She wouldn't even come close to meat or fish. And she said, no, you have to make sure that the cats have fish enough. And we see other similar passages with a goat, the baby goat. That she was so concerned about the baby goat that was wailing and crying, was somehow sick, and she comes and pet the goat. Again, the touching and the love through the touching until she calms down. And finally, just 1 minute, please. Because I am not Indian, I always love these passages where she exchanges affect and love and wisdom with Western women. The Western women that were in the Nivedita school working with Swami Vivekananda, but also she had this love extended to any human being outside India. And this is beginning early 20th century in India, in the context of the English occupation. Especially Bengalis didn't want British to be there. And there was this hate of the foreigner was in a way mixed with a sense of devotion for the motherland. So this is especially for Westerners. We have to understand the context of this. And in this context, there is this passage of once that she goes and asks Brahmachari to buy some saris, some cloth for her nieces. And then the nieces wanted all the ornamented saris with the ornamented borders and everything. And the Brahmachari says, I'm not going to buy that because that is not made in India. This is made in foreign land, and we don't want the foreigners to be here. So I'm not going to buy the cloth made by foreigners. And then she replies, my boy, they, the foreigners, too are my children. I have to carry on with all. Can I afford to be one-sided? Bring for them the clothes just as they want. So not only she was she was reconsidering the whole idea of the rejection of the foreigner and the cloth made in India and everything, but she was also trying to please her nieces. These are little girls, they want to look good, just bring the clothes that they want. And yet it was against her nature to do violence to anybody's feelings, and hence she never sent him again for purchasing foreign cloth. If the need arose, she asked somebody else to do so. So see how many levels of love and of understanding and of managing is here in just one sentence. It's just one act. She didn't want to offend the brahmachari. She wanted to please her niece, but she also wanted to give this message that they are all my children, and I, as a divine, or as a divine incarnated in a person, in a human being, cannot afford to be one-sided. And I don't know Bengali, so when I was reading this, I was thinking, I wish so much that I could read the original, because so many layers we have to understand mother, not only time, but also the language, and then it's always taught by someone else. But I wish I could see how she said that phrase, I cannot afford to be one-sided. I cannot afford to take parts, because I have to be fair and I have to be love for everybody. So these are the few ideas that I wanted to share with you tonight. And with this, thank you very much for listening. And thank you. Please.
To her whose life story is purifying, to her whose life breathes purity, to her who is verily purity embodied, to her are repeated salutations. A very good evening, respected Swamiji, dear devotees and friends. Today is a very auspicious day for us all. We have been celebrating the 167th birthday of Sri Sharda Devi, our dear Holy Mother, the divine consort of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Growing up, I have heard many sadhus and devotees say that they were first attracted by the fiery and fearless personality of Swami Vivekananda. Then, as they delved further, it was Sri Ramakrishna who caught hold of them. And again, as they evolved in their quest, Sri Ramakrishna quietly gave way to the blissful form of the Holy Mother. Is she then the final word, the final repository of one and all? It is said in our scriptures that Brahman cannot be thought of without Shakti. Brahman has two aspects. When inactive, Brahman is called Purusha, or the male principle. And when engaged actively in creation, preservation, and destruction, that same Brahman is called Prakriti, or the female principle. You cannot think of one without thinking of the other. They are just like two faces of a coin. Just as one cannot think of milk without its whiteness, and fire without its ability to burn, so too, one cannot think of Sri Ramakrishna without thinking of Sri Sharda Devi. If we believe that the impersonal Brahman incarnated as Sri Ramakrishna for the welfare of the world in this age, then it verily signaled the advent of the Prakriti aspect in the form of Sharda Devi. There can be no doubt about this. What is most interesting is that while in principle both these aspects are the same, they are unique in themselves. Shardamani, or Saru, as she was affectionately called, was born in a very pious and loving family in a small village named Jairambati in rural Bengal. Just like in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, she made her advent known to her parents before she actually took birth. We know how Shama Sundari Devi, Sri Sharda Devi's mother, had that mystical experience while in her maternal village. As the eldest child, Shardamani was a loving and obedient daughter, a responsible sister who looked after her siblings. Like other girls at that time, she helped her mother in all the daily chores and looked after everyone, apart from being a very soft spoken and loving girl. There was nothing dramatic about her that would make her stand out. It was as though she had kept herself well concealed. Sri Ramakrishna himself once said, "She is Sharda, Saraswati. She has come to impart knowledge. She has descended by covering up her beauty this time. She is full of the rarest wisdom. Is she of the common run?" An interesting incident to note here is that once, as a small child, Sharda was taken to witness a religious drama being held at her mother's maternal village. Gadadhar, as Sri Ramakrishna was called, was also present. In jest, some ladies asked the child Sharda, sitting in her mother's lap, whom she would choose as her future husband. Without the slightest hesitation, little Sharda raised both her hands and pointed them towards Gadadhar. A few years later, this actually came to pass when Gadadhar himself revealed to his mother and brother that the girl who had been chosen for him was living with her parents in the nearby village of Jairambati, and that they need not look elsewhere for a suitable girl for him. Again, it is another story of how the mother and brother were totally taken aback when they saw their Gadadhar's chosen bride to be, a child all of 5 years in age. Once at Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna suddenly asked his young wife. She may have been 16 or 18 years in age at that time. He asked her, "Do you want to drag me down into Maya? Have you come for that?" Promptly came the reply, "Why should I do so? I have only come to help you in your path." Only a highly evolved soul who oscillated with the same frequency as the questioner can give such an answer. Thus the master decided to allow Sharda her full right of a wife in the fullest sense, and thus tested how far his Brahman knowledge had raised him above the bodily sense. For a period of 6 months, both stayed together and slept on the same bed, and yet there was not the slightest desire of lust in either of them. Later, Sri Ramakrishna would say, "If she was not as pure as that, who knows whether I could have remained pure throughout." We can understand that Ramakrishna was deep in his spiritual practices and austerities by then. He had also progressed sufficiently to warrant this kind of a response. But what about our young Sharda? Wherefrom did this great power come unto her? She had barely any training in the spiritual at that time. This proves to us that Sharda was a divine entity in her own right. Her greatness lay in her ability to conceal all things that would reveal her true nature much too early and before time. A few months before his passing away, Sri Ramakrishna asked Sharda, "Won't you do anything? Will I have to do everything? Look at all these people around. They are squirming like worms in the darkness of their ignorance. Will you not help them?" Again, he would tell her often, "You will have so many children that your ears will ache hearing their constant refrain of mother, mother." And indeed, Sharda Devi became the mother to all. Sister Nivedita writes about her, "To me, it has always appeared that she is Sri Ramakrishna's final word as the ideal of womanhood. In her, one sees realized that wisdom and sweetness to which the simplest of women may attain, and yet to myself, the stateliness of her courtesy and her great open mind are almost as wonderful as her sainthood. In her, the world has found a unique figure in its history who combined in herself the roles of a perfect wife, nun, mother, and teacher at the same time. Holy Mother was the embodiment of selfless love, purity, and simplicity. I am reminded of an incident that took place much later in her life. The constant flow of devotees wanting to pay their respects to her and getting initiated was increasing day after day. This was taking a toll on her health, and she became very sick and very weak physically. Someone suggested that she curtail her meetings with devotees so that she could regain her health. To this she said, "Then did we come down to simply eat rasagullas and enjoy ourselves, dear?" Such was the mother. Today, we have so many books on her and her great teachings. I feel the way Sri Sharda Devi lived her life is her greatest teaching to us. If we can take up just a few of her teachings and practice them in our own lives, we will do the greatest favor to ourselves. The following are some of her teachings which appeal to me. First one, after someone finished her sweeping and threw the broom into a corner, Mother said, "How strange, my dear. The work is finished and you throw it away carelessly. It takes almost the same time to put it away slowly and carefully as to throw it away. Should you despise a thing just because it is insignificant? Him that you save saves you in turn. Won't you need it again? Besides, this thing too forms a part of our household. From that point of view also, it deserves some consideration. You must give each one his due share of honor. Even a broom must be shown some honor. The smallest work must be done with reverence. Second, it is the very nature of man to see defects. You should learn to appreciate the virtues. Man is no doubt liable to err, but you must not take notice. If you constantly find fault with others, you will see faults alone. Number 3, my child, you have been extremely fortunate in getting this human birth. Have intense devotion to God. One must work hard. Can one achieve anything without effort? You must devote some time for prayer, even in the midst of the busiest hours of the day. Number 4, as you smell the fragrance of a flower by handling it, or the smell of sandalwood by rubbing it against a stone, so you attain spiritual awakening by constantly thinking of God. Number 5, my son, forbearance is a great virtue. There's no other like it. One must be patient like the earth. What iniquities are being perpetrated on her, and yet she quietly endures them all. Man too should be like that. And finally, this last one. I tell you one thing, my child, if you want peace, do not find fault with others. Rather, see your own faults. Learn to make the world your own. No one is a stranger, my child. The whole world is your own. I would like to end this talk with a small excerpt from a letter written by Sister Nivedita to Mother. Dearest Mother, I wish we could send you a wonderful hymn or a prayer. but somehow even that would seem too loud, too full of noise. Surely you're the most wonderful thing of God, Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world, a token left with his children in these lonely days. And we should be very still and quiet before you, except indeed for a little fun. Surely the wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives, the air, the sunlight, and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganges. These are the silent things that are like you. Friends, let us then beseech this real mother of ours, from whence came all our mothers and everything that is nurturing and nourishing, and unto whom all merge again in the cycle of birth and death. O Mother, grant us that we may grow in our faith in you, that we go about our duties in this world and face all challenges that life throws at us, secure in the knowledge that you are watching over every moment of our lives. Grant us fearlessness, for verily, can fear even exist in your presence? Grant us that eternal faith in you, Mother, so that at that final moment, when death comes to lay its claim over us, we embrace it fearlessly. For then it will be you who have come for us to lead us by the hand to your divine abode. Thank you very much.
Dear friends, I feel immensely privileged to attend these two beautiful talks, insightful talks in person, opening up some of the great features and very beneficial features of this great life of Holy Mother. It may appear that both the speakers were talking of disconnected aspects of Holy Mother, like Gloria emphasized her love, which was the vehicle for her imparting teachings, and that love was not an expression of some weakness but of strength. And we see Rashmi speaking about the purity and how in everyday life that spiritual awareness can easily be transmitted and executed. So, but actually I see that both of them are very closely connected topics. It appears that, as Gloria was telling, that it is 100% God, 100% human being. It is not a kind of amalgamation, say 25% human, 75% God, or any such thing. It is 100% human and yet 100% divine. For most of us, divine and human appear to be in contradiction. How can God be compressed in a human body? Well, it is your problem, how can you compress? It is, for God it is not at all a problem. It is, therefore we human beings use the terminology that it is a play. that Leela. It is a play that God appears in human form. So, therefore, like in a drama, you see somebody is acting something that some lady, her name may be, say, whatever, Elizabeth. She is acting like Cleopatra. So it is now on the stage. On the stage, she is 100% Cleopatra, and yet she is still Jane or Elizabeth or whatever she is. Her Elizabethness and her Cleopatra-ness both are not contradictory as such. She is both. It is both. And therefore, Holy Mother could very easily accept these two positions which baffle human being. Like she was referring to that you look upon us, the disciples and devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, asked, well, you look upon us as Narayana, as God, but we are your children. Are you not our mother? Yes, you are my children too. You are Narayana too, and you are children too. What is the problem? For Holy Mother, no problem. In fact, there is another incident. Instead of Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, this question was asked about Sri Ramakrishna himself to her. That how do you look upon Sri Ramakrishna? This was like more teasing her. She was so human in a way that people could ask her anything. So she was telling that somebody asked, well, you are mother to all? Well, yes. See, imagine, how straightforward that answer is. Who can even think of making this answer so without any inhibition, that yes, I am mother to all. Now you mean all the insects, diseases? Yes, I am mother to all of them. No hesitation. Clearly, spontaneously, that extempore answer would come, straightforward truth, that yes, I am mother to them too. Then comes, what about Sri Ramakrishna? How do you look upon him also as your child? Yes. But he is your husband. Okay, what is the problem? I mean, it is, if you have a problem about it. I look upon him as husband, as I look upon him as my child. In fact, he is my all in all. That I look upon him as that also. See, no contradictions that besiege an ordinary ignorant human being. This or this. No, Holy Mother's life has no or, and. This and that. No need for all, or. So, everything is inclusive there. What a great thing, friends. And as Gloria was telling that, look how much love is being emphasized, that, and the teaching also is given through love. It is, it may sound harsh, but it is love. Like mothers at times, you see, gives admonitions or tells something firmly and sternly, and yet it is all done with immense love. So, Holy Mother's this teaching was also given through tremendous love behind it. She was telling about Nag Mahashay, that incident, very telling incident. If you go to Belud Math, you will see that place, that Tilambar Babu's garden house, where this incident took place, that Nag Mahashay was banging his head on that step there. And, well, Holy Mother comes and sees her son and feeds her son. And then Nag Mahashaya says, well, you are greater than Sri Ramakrishna, a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Nag Mahashaya, whom Sri Ramakrishna, later Swami Vivekananda also, respected, loved a great deal because of his tremendous devotion. That devotion, which was really was breaking all those bonds of human sane behavior, that we have certain norms of sane behavior. But when there is this upsurge of devotion, those are not cared for at all. So Nag Mahashaya also has that devotion of that category. And Holy Mother just filled him. And he says, well, you are greater than that. Here it reminds me of Swami Vivekananda's similar saying, which Swamiji has actually written in one of his letters. A wonderful letter. He says, well, I see the grace of mother more than the grace of father. And he quotes, Ko Ramaha. These are the words that he wrote. Ko Ramaha means who is Ram? That Sita is all that is. It actually sounds a little, if you look at that way the phrase is, somewhat slighting to Ramakrishna who, as it were, that Ramakrishna who? Sita, that it is Holy Mother is all that is. And why? Because the way Holy Mother took up that work of Sri Ramakrishna and transmitted that love, that was kind of a bit abstract. Not that it was not there. It was there, but not so concretely visible in day-to-day life in Sri Ramakrishna's expression. Holy Mother's expression made it so palpably concrete. And that is why that palpability, she was telling again, touch me. See, I am real. It is a congealment, a real, solid love compressed in human flesh and blood. And thus, that is what is given. And then I hear after that, we all heard Rashmi telling about the purity. It is sometimes we may think that, well, love, purity is kind of, a strict thing, the exacting purity. Love is accommodating. Purity sounds to be restricting. That no, pure it is. But actually these two concepts are same. And love is, when is it love? The more it is devoid of selfishness. Do you agree? Devoid of selfishness makes the love more and more real. And what is impurity? Selfishness is impurity. Why our love is not pure? Because we want this. We want this. We are full of hundreds of desires, and so those desires condition our love. I love if so many conditions follow. It is Holy Mother's love and purity didn't have this mutual contradiction, because that love was real and the purity was real. That nothing was asked in return for that love. It is so important a thing that in day-to-day activities, she would pay that same respect to small articles like a broomstick in home. It is, there is divinity in it. It also deserves respect. And if we do not do that, and there is this very revealing passage in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that then you will get defeated in life by that broomstick. If you consider any object separate from the divine, separate from the self, then that means you are disrespecting it. And that fellow will wreak revenge on you. You will get defeated by that. Because you disrespected it. It is not that it is consciously that the broom thought, let me teach a lesson to that fellow. Not like that. The very act of disrespect, that defeated you, that broom defeated you. This is a lesson that you see in Holy Mother's simple actions. It is very easy to give big talks on spiritual wisdom, but how deft skills are needed, loving skills are needed to express it in every single act of life, and without even attempting to teach. That is her life. So it automatically in every act will come out. It's a great life that I feel that Sri Ramakrishna had not been accompanied with Holy Mother. Most of those teachings that we get from the life of Sri Ramakrishna would have remained far away. They wouldn't have entered our kitchen, our workplace, our daily problems of life with Holy Mother. I remember a few years ago I had to give a lecture on practical Vedanta, and I was reading the book, Swami Vivekananda's book, Practical Vedanta, and then it's a great book, wonderful book. But at that time, one wonderful Swami was visiting here. He was my mentor, guide, from almost the time I joined the order. He was at that time vice president of the order when he had come here. And then he said, okay, what topic? I said, I haven't got time really to prepare my talks. It is on this practical Vedanta, and I have to give 3 talks on that. He said, don't worry, look at the Holy Mother's life. You will get all material on that, on your topic. All material you will get in Holy Mother's life on practical Vedanta. Yeah, that was so true. This is a life that a simple village woman, 100% human, it is simple village woman without any formal education as such. And it is, as it was mentioned, that Sri Ramakrishna said that this time she has come having covered the external beauty. Actually, that was not the case. Those who met Holy Mother, they said, have said also that she was really such a beautiful looking lady. But whatever it may be, that all that external things were removed as it were, and a pure, that person, 100% ordinary human being, and 100% divinity just manifesting through that. That was the glory, that was the Holy Mother on this very auspicious occasion, let us join in praying to Holy Mother to keep on guiding us. Let us hold Holy Mother's hand and then we shall move forward, or better, request Holy Mother to hold our hands, so that in our folly we may leave, we may give up her hand, but when she is holding our hand, then we are safe. So let us just be with her, requesting her, giving our hand to her, let her hold that, and we will move forward. My thanks to both. They are thank sounds like a formal word, but please, friends, I really feel very, very grateful for the messages that you had delivered today through these masterful extempore speeches. Now we shall have a closing song by Arunim. It's a beautiful song. He has sung it here before. That is about the Holy Mother. A devotee is appealing to Holy Mother. Just get up and open the door for me. It's a Bengali song. Arunim, can you give a quick translation of it as well? Yes. Do you want him to play tabla? Abhijit? Huh? Okay.
So before I start, as Swamiji mentioned, I'll even before I give the translation, I'll just give the background. It is told that, as the story goes, that there was a drunkard who used to come and visit Ma, and at that time, when he was drunk, he used to just go down the alley, and from the alley he used to sing the song. And the word of the song is Othogo Karunamoi, or wake up, O compassionate one, and open your doors and windows, basically. And actually Mother would come out and bless him as well in that state. So that is Holy Mother for us. So I'll begin. ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী, খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার। ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী, খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার। আঁধারে হেরিতে নারী, হৃদি কাঁপে অনিবার। ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী। তারো স্বরে ডাকিতেছি, তারা তোমায় কতই বার। দয়াময়ী হয়ে আজি একি হেরি ব্যবহার। ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী, খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার। আঁধারে হেরিতে নারী, হৃদি কাঁপে অনিবার। ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী। সন্তানে রাখি বাহিরে, আছো শুয়ে অন্তপুরে। মা বলে ডেকে মোর অস্থি চর্ম হলো সার। ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী, খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার।
আধারে হেরিতে নারী হৃদি কাঁপে অনিবার ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী খেলায় মত ছিলেম বলে বুঝি মুখ বাঁকাইলে একবার চাও মা বদন তুলে একবার চাও মা বদন তুলে খেলিতে যাব না আর ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার আধারে হেরিতে নারী হৃদি কাঁপে অনিবার ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী দিন রাম বলে ও মা কার কাছে বাজাবো আর দিন রাম বলে ও মা কার কাছে বাজাবো আর মা বিনে কে লাবে অকৃতি অধমের ভার দিন রাম বলে ও মা দিন রাম বলে ও মা কার কাছে বাজাবো আর মা বিনে কে লাবে আর অকৃতি অধমের ভার ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী খোলো গো কুটির দ্বার আধারে হেরিতে নারী হৃদি কাঁপে অনিবার ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী ওঠো গো করুণাময়ী
Very nice, Arunim, thank you. So, we are almost at the end of the symposium program. I'll just give you, tell you about the upcoming week. This is next Sunday. The discussion will be on the Savior. So that's the topic, the Savior. The Tuesday and Friday classes at 7:30 p.m. will go on as usual, well, then we are going to have another program on 24th, the Christmas Eve. The program will begin at 7 p.m. and should be over by about 8:30. There will be singing of Christmas carols, readings, some little worship, reflections, and then the what is called prasad, the partaking of the sacred food. So I will conclude with the closing prayers. Anything else that I forgot? And then after that there will be the Sankirtan, the singing of the 108 names to Holy Mother, Sarada Nam Sankirtanam, and then again we will have some prasad. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. That will be after the Sankirtan.